Hi friends, we're back at Across the Table with us. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kimberly.
And we're so excited. We hope that in the past few weeks that you've had a chance to watch our uninvited vlog and gain some maybe perspective on it and understand that you too can be invited, and if when you're not, that's okay too, that there are seasons of that. So today we're going to kind of reverse that topic. We've got a lot of holidays coming up and a lot of times that you may be invited to places. So instead of uninvited, we're going to talk about invited.
Over invited.
Right? I know. My calendar is already
It's
totally
insane.
filling up.
Yeah. Not trying to make it seem like I'm this popular girl with, to your point, with your spouse's work party, your work party, church get-togethers, family, oh my goodness.
Kids
crazy.
stuff, add in that,
Kids
in that self-care, right? You got to have that self-care during
Yes.
this time of year, or else you're just going to go down the drain.
It's especially important right now.
Yeah. So maybe you're one of those people that are like this, where you just have lots of things going on. But I know that there's a lot of people, a lot of you also that don't, maybe you don't have family in town. And so, the holidays aren't like, a time when you have a ton of events that you are invited to. So let's first talk about how we can go about creating the networks or connections or groups of friends that we can start inviting to.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people that is an orphan here in Arizona. I don't have family here. And so I've had to start over. This will be our first year where we won't be having any family coming in to visit for the holidays. So, that could be really sad. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful because I've been very intentional since moving here of creating friendships and networks and just different relationships. And I know that we've talked about this before. That's not a comfortable space for a lot of people. Truth be told, that's not a comfortable space for me. I had to faith it till I made it. So let's talk about what that looks like and how you can create those different social circles. I just want you to really consider different areas in your life that appeal to you, because we're grown. Right?
We don't have the kids sports stuff.
Yeah. And we're also in a season of our life where it's not about having a quantity of friends, it's about quality friends.
Absolutely.
I know for a while there, I was striving for the quantity of friends. I wanted a big group of friends that I could have together, and now I have a very tight, small circle of people that I depend on that are what I like to call hot friends, not they look gorgeous. I mean, they are gorgeous, but those that aren't lukewarm in their friendships with me, but that are really dialed in and plugged in and that I can turn to in the middle of the night if I have to for things. So how do you go about creating those friendships is really looking at what are your passions? What are your hobbies? Where did God plant you? Where do you live?
Right. I think that you need to, figure out, where do like she said, where do you live? You did a really good job of creating a neighborhood space, a neighborhood group for women where they can go and, get together and talk life and get away from the, our normal social settings in our houses and whatnot. And I just think that that's one area. But maybe you've watched this before and we've talked about our neighborhood groups before, and you're like, well, my neighborhood isn't really like that. I live in a neighborhood where maybe everybody's not my age, or maybe everybody has kids and I don't have kids, or vice versa. So there's other things. I mean, you can look within your hobbies. What do you like to do? Do you exercise? Because I'm sure that there's other women at the gym that would want to hang out, or, do you like to do outdoor activities?
So what does that look like? If you're at the gym,
yes.
Say you don't have a community like ours where the houses are close together, people are relatively in, the same demographic. But, so you go to the gym. How do you make a friend with somebody at the gym?
I would probably first, you kind of start to see the same people. Mm-hmm. So you're like, hi, and I found myself for a while when I was doing mine at the gym, you would say hi to the same people, and then it gets to a point where it's a little bit uncomfortable, and you're like, hi, I'm Angela, mm-hmm. And then you introduce yourself, and then you start to have a conversation. Oh, where do you kids go to school? Women can go from not knowing somebody to fully knowing everything. My husband tells me this all the time, like, how did you get that information from somebody in like 5 minutes? And so I think if we're intentional about it, we can get there. And then maybe not that particular time, you're like, hey, let's go out.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe you're like, hey, do you want to go to the smoothie bar, and have a drink after, have a, and then you talk more at the, and kind of start from there. Or hey, do you know any other moms, or not moms, women in here that want to get together and, outside of the gym, or, and we maybe have something in common with the kids, and so you can use that.
Yeah.
But you're going to find some commonality, and if you don't, you're going to see other people in the gym where you can do that too.
I think that a really great space for if you're in the gym working out with someone, that for us here where we live right now, it's a great time to be like, wow, the weather is just so good to get outdoors and do some exercising. Would you ever be interested in meeting up and going for a walk or a run or at a local park? Yeah, you could totally do that. Now, if you're in a place where there's wet weather, like I was in Seattle, and this is just a horrible time to invite somebody to go outside with you. But you could say, oh my gosh, I really love this class. Are you part of any other classes here in the gym?
Right.
Like, let's make a plan to meet together for that. And then it just will organically turn into something more where you can invite them out for, a drink or whatever.
Right. And if exercise isn't your thing, which is totally fine, maybe you're into crafting. Maybe I so wish I had that ability to craft. I can copy somebody's thing if they're like showing me exactly what to do step by step, but it's not really my thing to be creative. And I love going to people's, that are creative. That we have somebody in our neighborhood who's super creative.
Oh my gosh, if crafting is your jam, you can hit up a local Michael's, Hobby Lobby, or Joanne Fabrics, and they actually open their space for people to come in and teach how to craft.
Right.
As long as you're using materials from their store, they're like, go for it.
Right.
And that's such a great way of inviting people in that you otherwise wouldn't know. It's definitely a cold market of friends that you would be opening your world to.
And maybe you don't connect with everyone there, but there may be somebody that makes a connection, and then that leads to something else. So it doesn't always have to be like, well, I don't like this whole group. It's or not that you don't like them, but you just don't mesh. You don't connect.
Yeah.
But
There's chemistry.
Also, right.
Yeah.
There's also church. Or if you go to church, or you have that avenue to go to. Or there's, I actually have a group. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I have a bunco group where we have played this silly dice game, and you can't get better at it, unfortunately, or I would be like the champion at this point because it's been that long. But it's just a great time to once a month get together and hang out with women and eat and chat and move tables. And there's 12 of you, and you just move from table to table, so you talk to everybody just organically. It's not that one is actually so great because even if you show up as a complete stranger, everybody at the table while you're doing your little dice are talking, and then you move to the next table. So by the end of the night, 11 new people.
Yeah,
like it's
really
not awkward
nice.
at all.
Right.
That's probably like one of the most friendly. It's probably why it's so popular. One of the most friendliest games to play. Like
I think that would be a really great thing for if you have a couple of friends and you're both, or say there's 3 of you that are good friends, and you're like, man, it would be really cool if we had more friends. That you could challenge each other to invite 2 friends to come along with you, or 3 friends, or whatever, to be a part of a game night. And that way you meet more people in your social network, and you likely have something in common because you're friends already with these people that you definitely mesh well with. And it's just expanding those social circles. It's going to be one of those things, though, where you have to be okay with blending your friends and not get territorial over them. So,
right. Well, you could also, you're inviting 2 friends, and then you have those 2 friends that you invite 2 friends, so that you do kind of get like a mix.
Yeah.
So with all the holidays that are coming up, there's also ways that you can, invite people to, if you're not being the invitee or invited person that you can invite, maybe you do something simple, like you host a cookie exchange, right? I mean, you could do that where some people do it where they bake at your house, and so you're there a lot of the day, and there's a lot of social. But if that makes you anxious and you're like, I don't know if I want to be with these people for that long, because I don't know them that well, then you just do the exchange where you bring it, and maybe you have like, I don't know, mimosas and muffins, and then you exchange your cookies or something like that.
Sure.
So, and that could be, again, that could go from lots of different places, your neighborhood, your church, like wherever, your gym, like there doesn't have to be anything specific. It's where you go. Do you go to the bank? Do you go to the grocery store? Like, you know, you meet people all the time. It doesn't matter, you know, where that comes from.
If you have a heart to serve, go volunteer. You're going to meet so many people that share that same love of serving others or serving animals.
Right.
And it's just a really great way to get to know people.
Yeah, we just went to a wine tasting the night, and then actually Kimberly, I didn't really know anybody else there personally. I just decided that it would be fun to go to wine tasting, and I met, you know, like 5 new friends while we were there, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, even if you only know one person, or, you know, if you're really brave and you go and you don't know anybody, that's even, you know, but, you know, one person you'll get to by the end of the night. It's, you know, just be yourself.
For sure.
Yeah. How about we talk a little bit about the invitation process? We were talking about this before. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but we've definitely changed on how we respond to invites. I remember back, especially like when my kids were younger, you know, if somebody invited you to a birthday party or like, you know, whatever, any kind of party, there was a specific you know, you got handed a note.
Right, usually it was at least 2 weeks before the event is taking place. You give an invitation, and then you have 1 week to respond if you are or are not going. And if you say you're going.
You're going.
You're going.
Unless you're sick.
Yes.
Like,
unless some big emergency happens where your arm is falling off, you better be there.
Yeah, and you did that out of respect for the person that you're inviting.
1,000%. Right? Yes.
I think, and this is not against anybody because I am so guilty of this too.
Same.
But I think we have become lazy in our decision-making process because the person is not right in front of you. You usually either get an email like an evite if you're getting it through an email, or you get it through the Facebook, you know, like an invite.
You can see going or interested. I hate when it's interested. Yeah. It's like, are you going or are you not? Like, make a decision.
And you can also, I think it's also now, you can see who's going.
Yes.
And I think that influences your decision of I'm not going to know anybody, so I don't think I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those. But when you were handed a card,
or there's not a lot of people there, so then it's going to be awkward because I'm going to have conversation.
And so then you're just kind of waiting until like the very end to see if like either, I don't know, maybe something else is going to come up, or
you're either waiting for the next bigger, better thing, which is horrible, P.S. and guilty. Or you are...
Maybe I'll be tired.
I don't know how I'm going to feel. It might be a long week.
Yes.
Girl, please.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're all guilty. So no, no shaming here, but I just feel like it's changed. I feel like the invitation process has changed, which makes it really hard for the inviter. If you have been the inviter, you probably know what I'm talking about.
People give up on inviting because they put themselves out there. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there one time. A lot. And when you get a no-show, or you have 1 or 2 people attend when you've invited maybe 6 or a dozen, that's really frustrating and defeating.
Yeah.
So can we just support one another? And if we say we're going to be there, be there.
Right.
And if you don't know if you'll be there, just like make a decision of, I'm not going to be there. If it's not a yes, then call it a no.
Right. And even if it isn't, if you do call it a no and then you can come later, they're probably going to be super excited about it. Because then you're like, oh, somebody else isn't coming, so that's perfect, you can come. But if you say you're going to come and then you don't, it makes you feel like, well, I guess they had better things to do.
Oh, it hurts. I mean, I see people even in businesses give up doing their businesses. It's something that they put themselves out there and then nobody shows and they're like, forget this. And they try only once, and it's so sad because you know, we're women. We need to support one another. But it's also like that, not just with, I almost think that it's become more easy to say no because of multi-level marketing companies. And I have one, so I get it. But because people are like so caught up in, oh, all these invitations are going out and I'm just another number. It doesn't really matter. It does matter. And it doesn't, I feel like it's lessened the other invitations that are more personal, like even kids' birthday parties, like, ouch. Ouch. I've had mamas tell me, I put all these invitations out and these people said that they were going to come and then nobody came to my kid's birthday party. Like,
Yeah.
Ow.
Or they won't know until the day before, and you're like, well, how do I plan for that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And you put all this money into it and effort, and
Yeah.
you clean your house, for goodness
Right.
sake.
So just something to think about. We're, like I said, we're all guilty, so no shame here, but just think about it next time you get invited to something, and if it's not a yes, put it down as a no, and then, you know, put it in your little calendar that, hey, if there's a way that I can go, maybe check the day before and see if there's still, you know, and if not, then totally get that there's not, but.
You know, and here's the other thing is, earlier I was talking about how I have hot friends, and I am demanding that of my friends, and I'm demanding that of myself. I'm not going to be a lukewarm friend. So I want to challenge you guys, and I'm getting a little bit of an attitude right now because I'm super passionate about it, but don't be a lukewarm friend. Show up for your friends. If they are so brave to invite you to something, do your best to be there. Mm-hmm. If that friend truly matters, make an effort to be there. Yes, make every effort. Like, for real, show up.
Right.
And I mean, this is the thing, is that so many people crave relationships. We were made for a relationship. So if you do really want that, and I imagine that if you're watching this, you do, then show up.
Right. That's number one. That will cure most of your, you know, worries and stresses if you just show up. Yeah. And more than once, like, continue to show up. Not, I showed up and it was awkward, so I'm not going to do it again.
And when you show up for them, they're going to show up for your invitation.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we beat that down, Bush, right?
Okay.
Woo!
Woo, simmer down now. I'm hot.
Okay. What about, this is another hot topic, though.
Okay.
What about, okay, I know a lot of you have this. I'm good with this. I don't really have this too much, but I know that there's some of you who around the holidays have to have like required invitations, and it's difficult because maybe it's a social setting that you are just not comfortable in at all. Like, so how do we navigate that? How do we navigate those situations where, like, it's not going to be like, oh, maybe I'll make a new friend situation and we'll go do stuff, you know, that kind of thing. It's more of, you have to do this because you're required. Maybe it's like a spouse's work party, and you, like, it's not a comfortable one. Sometimes some of them are fun, and, you know, but maybe this particular one is like you're going there and you're just awkward.
I mean, let's be real. I think the majority of work parties are awkward. I'm just going to say it. Even if they're fun, they're awkward because the whole time you're like, what am I going to wear? What am I going to look like?
What are they going
to think of me? And, oh, I want to set my spouse up for success. Or if it's your work party, I hope he doesn't say something embarrassing. Like, right? I mean, come on. We all go through that. Like just.
Oh, there's Saturday Night Live skits about this.
Right? Like, what if I drink too much? Heaven forbid.
Dance party.
Should I not drink at all? Oh my gosh, what if my dances aren't good enough?
Right.
Like, whatever it is. So it's awkward, right? So how do we navigate that and make the most of these invitations and still show up?
Right. I think I would, at this point, I probably didn't do this before, but at this point, I would have questions, come prepared a little with questions. I feel like I've learned a lot about the situation.
So what kind of questions can you come prepared with? I like giving people stuff to have, like, in their arsenal.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up with those on your own.
Yeah. You know, everyone's go-to would be, you know, to try to find out, you know, about them, but like we
don't ask what they do.
Right. We've talked about this before. That's not something that, you know, you want, because, you know, they're all going to be, you know, spouses of, you know, whatever your husband's doing. And so it's just going to be awkward. What if they're, you know, not proud of what they do, or what if they're not, you know?
I mean, or all of them work for the same company, so why ask what they do?
Right.
Maybe say, so when you're not working, what do you like to do?
Right. What do you like to do on the weekends for fun? Or
what do you do in the off season? Like, that's a good question that I would ask my husband's colleagues. What do you like to do in the off season? Or if it's an office setting, then what do you do when, like, after 5 o'clock? What does your life look like? You know, whatever.
What's your crazy schedule? You know, and people will usually tell you your schedule because that's easy because it's something that they know. It's not something they have to, like, figure out, like, oh, what's a weird question? Mm-hmm. You know, so then it dives into, if they're talking about their schedule, like, oh, I go to my kid's soccer game on Tuesdays. Oh, my son's in soccer, and, you know.
Right now is a prime time to say, so do you guys have any plans for the holidays?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Easy peasy.
Easy. You always, and usually you find a connection. Like, oh, my in-laws are from Colorado. Oh, really? I'm from Colorado. Or
Yeah,
you know.
or oh, I have in-laws that are out of state too. Even if they're on like different sides of the world, it's
Just
still,
find
like,
if you find a
some kind of-
commonality,
yeah.
it's a lot easier and makes it less awkward,
Yeah.
right? What about like maybe not a Christmas party like that, but what about maybe you're having, Christmas Eve at your house and it's just kind of known that you invite this group of people and you pretty much have to, and then maybe there's one or two that are just don't really go click together, and maybe that's you and them,
Sure.
or maybe it's two other people in the group that are just like awkward.
Yes.
So, maybe there's tension in the family, or how do you navigate through that?
Yeah, that's hard. Family alone is hard, right? Like, there's always one in the family. I'm probably the black sheep in my family. It's okay. So I would appreciate if someone would talk to me about it beforehand. Just like if they're feeling tension with me. I mean, we've talked about this. I don't like elephants in the room, so just call it out. Like, let's have this conversation before we're there.
There.
And I would say have the conversation at least 2 weeks before it happens so that people have time to let things marinate, and that you can say, okay, we're going to have this conversation. I'm going to circle back around with you in a week just to see, what your thoughts are. Circle back with them before the thing happens so that if they have time to marinate and they're angry about it, they're not going to bring it up at the party. Like,
You definitely don't want to blow up at the party.
Right. So try to diffuse the situation before it is a situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just say, just be kind. I mean, just you're gonna be we're always in situations where it's uncomfortable at times, and that's not going to be any different. The only difference is it might be in your house.
Yeah.
And it might, that does make it uncomfortable, but maybe there's other people that can kind of shield, not shield you, like protect you, but like be like a, like instead of just you two one-on-one, there's somebody else in there to kind of like help the conversation along.
Sure. I think prepare yourself too of ideally what would this situation look like, and then other side of the paper, what are my fears going into this? Just so that you can get in front of it and kind of work through that yourself before it happens. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself. So how you respond to things is going to be everything. So if you know that it's going to be awkward, even after having conversations with these people, then just try to, like Angela said, love them. Just love them. Life is so short that it's just not worth it to have all this tension.
Let it go.
Yeah,
Let it go.
Make it the ideal situation as much as possible
Right.
that you can, and just enjoy it
Right.
and sweep it under the rug for a night.
You were talking about fears here a minute ago, and it got me to be thinking that we should all take the role at some point of being the inviter. Whether it be, it doesn't have to be at your house. Maybe your house isn't conducive to that, but and maybe that's just an excuse. Maybe it is, and you're just worried about it. Let's be real here, right? But we should all take that role. It shouldn't be everybody else's responsibility to be that inviter. So sometimes we have these big fears. So whatever those fears are, the first thing that we should do is just list them out. Like, why aren't we inviting? What are our fears?
I'm afraid that when I get up from the table, they're going to talk about me.
I'm afraid that my house isn't going to look nice enough, and then they're going to be like nitpicking at it.
I'm afraid that they're going to judge me for whatever.
What if I run out of food? Right? We're all worried about
What
that.
if my food is gross?
Yeah. So we all have these like fears of, oh, and what if I don't invite what if I forget to invite somebody? Right? We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Like, I have this list, but I'm afraid to even do it because I might forget somebody.
Yeah, or what if I invite somebody that other people don't get along with?
Right. So we talked about this as you were talking about your husband, how we talked about eliminating the stressors, the top two. Talk about that a little bit.
So my husband travels 100% of the time for his job, and his biggest piece of advice is eliminate your top two stressors. So for him with traveling, his top stressors are getting to the airport too late, so he misses his flight,
That'd be bad.
or they lose his luggage. So what does he do to eliminate that? He gets to the airport early, and he never checks a bag. That's it.
So then so he's eliminated that. So if you have, you might create this whole list, but you might be like, well, I could probably get through this, and this. But the two that are your biggest ones, like do something about those, and have that plan before you start the invite process.
Yeah,
So
like I suck at cooking and baking. Like I'm just gonna call it out. I'm not good in the kitchen. So if food was a thing, I would either tell people to bring something on their own,
Right.
awesome, done, or I would totally buy store-bought.
Right. Either have it catered, have it like picked up, go pick up
Yeah.
something quick, or everybody bring an appetizer.
Yeah.
Or, whatever solves. And that's not weird anymore. Like, it's not like everything is fancy and you're going to, it's Christmas, even in Christmas Day when you're going over to your mom's house or whatever, everybody brings like, hey, I'll bring the salad and the veggie tray or whatever. Like, it's not weird to go to somebody's house and bring something anymore. So.
And in fact, it eliminates people being able to back out at the last minute.
Very true. Yes. 'Cause
Delegate
you're committed.
bringing food because somebody is counting on you for that.
Right? Yeah, if they've signed up for something, most of the time they're not going to not make it. And if, we experience this with our bachelor nights, when people have signed up for stuff, even if for some reason last minute they couldn't come, it was that obligation of, you know what, I'll still bring my dish over because you're committed. So sometimes that could be a draw, like, to be the inviter. So eliminate those top stressors and put yourself out there. Like, take the risk to be the inviter.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to make connections. It's not, it always takes something of yourself to get something.
Yeah.
It means more. It's just like when you pay for something, you're going to take better care of it than if somebody gave it to you for free.
Yeah.
Like
if you're afraid, so my fear that I listed was I'm afraid that when I get up from the table, they're going to talk about me. I make it very clear with my friends that my table is like Las Vegas. What happens here stays here. Like, it is held in the highest confidence. And it's really created these friendships where it's like, oh my gosh, I feel safe to tell you things because I know that you're not going to go around and tell other people about it.
So I hope that you have learned a little bit today about just maybe some ways of you can be the inviter and also how to navigate when you do get all these invites. Like, how, start getting your calendar out now, girls, because it's coming.
Harvest time.
Yes. It's super fun though. We have our doors open right now and it's gorgeous. And as you can tell, this is the very first time that I've had on long sleeves in these. It's fall, finally for me.
Girl.
Hey, it's only going to be like 82 today.
Hey. This is great conversation to have because we all go through these fears and these challenges, and I hope that you're encouraged today to put yourself out there, take a risk. It's worth it.
100%.
It's so deathly scary, but it is worth it. Thanks for sitting across the table with us.
We have enjoyed our time with you.